Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 105 of Pokerole. We are back after a rather dramatic set of sessions in dealing with Eternatus, who finally fluffed off. I guess I don't want to cuss the first 20 seconds of the video or something, but but we are back now. I have an updated Tucker avatar. Yes, people are noticing this. Tucker got both of his eyes affected by the darkness he had before in the last episode. So, I updated the avatar accordingly. So, but before we begin, if you like the video, do think about giving it a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, think about doing that as well. But if you really want to help out, think about coming over to Twitch. We're trying to reach partner over here, but we need more viewers to do that. So if you want to come by, whether it's to lurk or to talk, think about doing so, because it really does help out. Right now we're saying, I think, at 31 viewers. That's kind of low for Pokerole. I hope more people show up. That's not terrible, but hopefully get more people in. It's always nice to have more viewers, so do think about coming by. We honestly would love to have you. We also have a pretty cool Discord community if you want to check that out, and I have a Pokerole Discord community for our game here that you can check out from this Discord community. I also have a coffee link if you want to help directly monetize my content. I have a merch store if you want to buy some cool stuff, and I guess that's actually the summary of things. And of course, how could I forget? We have a Poke Pioneers wiki. If you want to watch and read information about the characters, about recaps on episodes and stuff like that, instead of watching them all back in video form, you can check that out. All links are in the description, so you can check everything out down there. But with that being said, how's everybody doing on the table today?
Pretty good, pretty good. I just
Hey y'all.
I just got that game that you showed us in the other thing. It's 10% off right now.
Yeah, it is. Well, introductory offer. Actually, that's good to know, because I would like to do multiplayer with that on stream at some point. So whoever gets it, let me know. Because, yeah.
Yeah, I just got it just now. I was looking at it like, that looks so cool.
I will note that though you can read through the wiki, and it is convenient to do so, and Neo does an amazing job, it is not quite the same as listening, because I know not everybody watches them, at least listening to the episodes. Mostly because it's impossible to get all the dialogue in the recaps. Don't make Neo do that. Please, audience, don't make Neo do that. They do so much already.
Come hear my dad jokes in person.
Yes, join in on the shenanigans.
But, given we've started, it's important that I recap.
And I'll show
using Neo's hard work to help do the recap, because it has become increasingly difficult to recap.
That's fair.
Oh wow, a lot more went on last time than I thought. And yet you all stayed in the cave.
We stayed in one location, but a lot happened. Also, I might re-show some fan art, because I'm not actually sure where I stopped showing fan art last time, so I'm just going to show some possibly old fan art. It's fine.
Okay. But yeah, last time was a one location / one scene session, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Also, we were low energy, so it's fine. Team Cheer is recovering from their sudden expulsion into the Cave of Mirrors, and Eternatus following them, though this intrusion alerts the Pokemon already inside the cave, who come to investigate. Camelo, Lizard, and a now evolved Riley. Riley immediately chastises the group, or rather sasses at the group, for somehow incurring the wrath of Eternatus within a week of Riley's decision to watch over the base. And asks what in the world happened. Ralph gives a brief, incredibly vague explanation before asking someone to try to help Lyre. And I think this is the moment when Ralph tosses Lyre at Riley to get him to catch it. But Riley is suffering from having a heightened aura sense, and everything is difficult for him to see because Eternatus is there. So Lizard catches Lyre instead. as I fumble with tabs. Then Eternatus starts to rise, though does so uncomfortably due to the cramped space of the cave, as well as certain other reasons that may or may not have been noticed, and orders Team Cheer to return Lyre to him, as per the contract they made long ago. Only then do the group notice Eternatus' mention of a contract, and Brooke tries to ask what exactly this contract is. Eternatus explains that life's side of the deal was to provide a prisoner eternal to stem the tide of light and steel, and ensure that he is alone nevermore. In plainer terms, provide a companion for Eternatus to ensure they aren't lonely. Though that might be a bit of an oversimplification. Team Cheer, of course, is not amused by this explanation at all, Ralph remarking how it's no wonder why Eternatus needs to keep prisoners as companions if this is how they go about it. Riley quipping about how typical it is for a god to only try to play fair when losing, and Brooke critiquing the conditions Eternatus is keeping their companion in. Eternatus disregards their words, because of course they will, claiming they have no right to complain about their methods. They then turn to Lyre and repeat for Lyre to come back, adding that if they don't, a day as dark as night will happen once more, extended for 1,000 years. This seems to leave the Sawsbuck torn. However, Team Cheer continues to speak up for Lyre. Rada saying that other gods would rise to stop Eternatus should they try to go through on their threat. Eternatus' gaze focuses on Rada, saying that uncaring gods would not dare break the contract just to save them. During the back and forth between the two, Eternatus decides to propose another deal. This seems to worry Komodo, who tries to step in to calm Eternatus by offering to return Lyre. But Eternatus merely entraps Komodo in claws that erupt from the earth to silence him. Riley once again quips how Eternatus isn't playing fair now that they're not getting what they want, which, of course, Eternatus ignores. The legendary says that, for a single year, and every other fortnight, Eternatus will let Lyre be free. This is not quite accurate to what they said. They will allow Lyre to be free, and then every year hence they will be permitted a fortnight of freedom, is what they said. But Eternatus speaks in really convoluted language that most people these days do not understand.
Oh, I guess, Ennio, if possible, could you update that later?
That is okay. It's not something that will probably come up in the game again. So it's fine if people think that.
Okay.
Because every other fortnight is way more freedom for Lyre than Eternatus would normally permit anyway. Because I believe a fortnight is 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, this isn't visitation rights with children in a custody battle. However...
Demeter and Persephone.
Sorry?
It's more like Demeter and Persephone.
That is the point.
Oh no.
However, in exchange, they request an acolyte to serve as their distributor of retribution and justice, as, despite Eternatus' less positive traits, he was imprisoning those who would likely be dangerous should they be released. Specifically, they request either Rida or Tucker become their acolyte, each due to the suffering they have felt at others being able to be used as a drive to mete out justice. Rida steps forward and agrees to become Eternatus' acolyte, provided Eternatus understands that, to Rida, Brooke will always come first. Tucker, meanwhile, denies Eternatus' request, refusing to agree with their mindset of determining justice by themselves, just because they suffer. Eternatus seems confused by the words, remarking how they wouldn't expect their acolyte to always be right, as they themselves admit to not always be right. But Brooke speaks up to say how that Tucker has made up his mind and will not be convinced otherwise. Brooke then asks Rida if they're sure that they want to go through with this, to which Rida answers that, if it will help them protect Brooke, then they're more than happy to go through with it. Eternatus then goes on to explain why exactly they tried to imprison Team Cheer. Because they could sense the team's connection to the Dark Star. Brooke critiques Eternatus for trying to imprison them when they've yet to do wrong, which Eternatus retorts by saying that many before them have claimed to be stronger, like the team, but succumbed to the Dark Star's influence in the end. Then Tucker speaks up, remarking on how he thinks that Eternatus is assuming the team knows better than them to be willing to critique them. However, it is because the team is aware of their limitations and won't let pride get in the way of their judgment that they won't succumb and do harm to the world like the past vessels did. Realizing the argument would continue ad nauseum at this rate, Eternatus digresses and returns to focusing on Rida, granting them the title of Acolyte. Eternatus leaves a mark upon Rida's eye using one of their claws, and then orders the team to never return to the Dragon's Path again, unless they decide to return Lyre. Eternatus releases the grip, silencing Komodo, before returning to the Dragon's Path through the mirror everyone came out of. Komodo sighs in relief at how surprisingly well that conversation went, despite the overall tone the team was taking with Eternatus. Then, now that everyone can talk normally, Luxray speaks up and greets Komodo, who only just notices Luxray is there, and informs them that Purloin and Shinx have visited the cave. However, only one of them underwent the trial, but failed, after which they said they were returning home, likely referring to Sea Spray. Luxray thanks Komodo for letting him know this. Meanwhile, the team starts to congratulate Riley on the evolution, and Tucker apologizes for ruining the special day by suddenly bringing in everyone along with an angry legendary. As Riley offers Tucker a consolatory head pat, Rida's body finally gives out, and they collapse while resting on Ralph's side. Deciding to leave Rida be so they can rest, attention turns to Tucker, whose eyes are now both inverted, much like how a single one had inverted during the expedition to the north. He explains that, like before, he can't see normally, though it's even more of an issue now that it is both eyes rather than only one. Komodo offers to let the team rest in the Cave of Mirrors so that they don't need to find another shelter after the journey they all went through, though grumbles about how often he's needing to do this. Komodo then steps out, asking his father if it's safe for him to come out now that Eternatus is gone. Komodo replies that it's fine, and further grumbles about how he's glad Prince Zeal wasn't here at the moment, and instead searching for berries, as he likely would have done something overly reckless. He requests for Komodo to go search for Zeal, while he brings everyone some bedding to use. Luxray offers to keep watch, and proceeds to loaf where they were standing as everyone goes to get some rest. A shame we didn't have loaf Luxray art at that very moment, but I mean, long-winded. Also, nobody call your art bad. Art is hard.
Indeed.
Komodo soon returns with Zeal, who is surprisingly able to be quiet while some are trying to sleep. Komodo speaks to Brooke and Ralph, who are currently still awake, and remarks on how long they must have traveled if they were navigating the Dragon's Path. Brooke explains that they simply wanted help from the library, which Komodo nods to, though they are concerned how Hatterene will manage out of the library. They then ask about who exactly Lyre is, but neither of them can really offer an answer. Ralph remarks on how Florence seems to know Lyre, but Komodo retorts that Florence has a fair few stories he doesn't tell people, and who exactly Lyre is may be one of them. After a bit more conversation, Komodo walks away to check on Lyre, and Brooke and Ralph proceed to sleep. The next day, Rida is the first to awaken, finally back to their senses after all that had happened during their unhinged phase. While their mind tries to recompose itself, they try to stealthily walk around the Cave of Mirrors, avoiding interacting with Komodo, or Zeal, who are currently preparing breakfast. They idly look into the mirrors, and at some point notice a silhouette looking at them from within one. Rida asks what it is, but upon getting no response, instead decides to turn away, muttering how they're more broken than they thought. They eventually decide to sit outside of the cave, to relax. Meanwhile, Brooke and Ralph are next to awaken, along with Noibet, who asks if they are now safe. Brooke and Ralph explain what happened last night, before they are greeted by Komodo. who lets them know that they should hopefully have enough breakfast for everyone, though gives a glance at Ralph as he says so. They then head to where the food has been prepared and start to eat, Florence waking up to join in while idly bantering. Luxray also walks in and silently eats. While Rydell relaxes outside of the cave, Lyre quietly walks over and sits next to them. Rydell seems confused initially, but doesn't tell Lyre to leave, guessing they also just didn't feel like being with the others. Then, as they both look out into the wilderness, Lyre begins to sing, the strings tied on their antlers plucking themselves as they continue. The music seems to calm all within earshot, including all within the cave. Rydell notices flowers beginning to grow around Lyre and plucks one to examine, noting how small and fragile the white stem flowers are, but how vibrant the color of the petals are in contrast. Following plucking the flower and letting it fly in the breeze, Hettering then joins the two, remarking on how Tucker's transportation caused them to end up a bit off course from their intended destination of Sea Spray. Ryder responds that Team Cheer likely doesn't mind that, and how they look forward to being able to feel such a way through traveling with them. After more conversation, Hatterene then heads back inside to wake up Tucker. Tucker wakes up as Hatterene comes to awaken them due to Lyre's song resonating through the cave, and seems a fair bit better than yesterday due to the song's calming effect. He greets Hatterene, who informs Tucker that he should best go get food, as there's now a good distance to travel to reach Sea Spray. Tucker apologizes for bringing them out so far from Sea Spray, to which Hatterene replies that bringing them pretty much anywhere is better than the Dragon's Path. He then goes to join everyone in having breakfast, Ray and Lizard being the only ones still resting at this point. As everyone eats, Tucker approaches Brooke and requests that they use some of the fabric in his You can tell that this is a long recap when I fumble so much. Some fabric in his bag to blindfold him to help cope with his inverted vision until it wears off. Brooke agrees to do so, remarking about how he now matches Riley, who's also wearing a blindfold to cope with his heightened senses, which makes Riley grumble in his sleep. Brooke wonders if this could possibly be something that can happen when Shadow Sneak is used, and suggests asking Rise, who might know the reason for it. Since they're likely going to Savantown anyway on the way to Sea Spray, Kamala agrees to the suggestion, making sure that adding to that long recap. Adding to make sure to take Riley and Lizard with them. Words are hard, Merle. You're correct.
Long but useful recaps. But I'd rather have them long than short.
Agreed.
The fact that it was long just shows how much important stuff happened.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
very
fair.
dense session, very dense.
Yeah, part of that have it in recap too. Some of it felt like I recently read one of Socrates' like parables where he talked to people and like debated things, and I'm just like that kind of felt similar to that. Parts of it.
Right then. Oh gosh, there's so many models.
We have a lot of people around. It's a full house.
You do. Good thing we're going to pare that down. A little, I mean. Slightly. Anyway.
And I'm more comparing the fact that the session was so dense and had so many like discussions and deep conversations going on that effectively after it's being written out to a recap, it kind of reminded me of one of Socrates' parables at that point. Certain parts of that.
I love the look.
Take the compliment, Enya.
A forum for philosophy, exactly. That's kind of my summary of what I mean.
In any case, you all are currently in the Cave of Mirrors, most of you having finished breakfast. I believe Lizard and Riley... No, they were still resting, weren't they? Well, they're going to finally awaken, and They are holding hands when they come to have breakfast. It's cute.
Aww.
Adorable.
It may or may not be because that Riley still needs a seeing eye lizard.
Relatedly, Tucker is actually sticking physically next to Brooke, actually kind of just rubbing up against his thigh, because Tucker himself is having a little trouble with navigation, so he's just going to go where Brooke goes for the moment.
You know, you two were one about half the height of the other, and now you're the same height. And then me and my special other, we were about the same size, and now she's about half my height. Evolution's funny like that sometimes.
So what you're saying is our power dynamic is more equal than yours.
No, just your height dynamic.
Keep telling yourself that, Ralph.
Mala's got just as much control over me as she always has.
All of it, got it.
Puts up a finger, thinks, puts the finger down.
Alright, so when are we moving out?
We'll look at Blizzard and Riley and say, well, we're probably going to head to Sea Spray as soon as possible. If you'd like to accompany us back to Savannah Town, that'd be great.
I mean, sure? We were gonna go back anyway. I don't see any reason why not. Though with so many of us, it probably won't be very exciting.
Okay.
I think we could all do with a little less exciting.
Yeah. So guys, speaking of exciting, do we include the finer details in our mission report to in our debriefing to Pango Ding? Like the part where we angered one of the eldritch deities of our world. Yeah, I think Pango Ding will get a kick out of it. I'm gonna tell him.
Kabolo steeples their claws and thinks about this with a concerned face and slowly squints, because there is a part of him that finds it amusing. That is fair, Kyrio. You have no idea what their plans are, but also, it wasn't like they were going to be gone from Savannah Town long. They can't just leave Hot Dog in charge of Puppy, even though Puppy already has caretakers. Besides, Poff and Laddie are still back at the base. They need to go, take care of them.
Very true.
Oh wow, Hot Dog basically has the base all to himself except for Poff and Laddie.
And Puppy.
Nice.
And Mute Squirtle.
And Mute Squirrel. Okay, can't forget Mute Squirrel.
Yeah, that beckons a good question. Should you pick up any more pets? I know you had the whole pet collecting hobby, which is odd because we all used to be people with a pet collecting. It's like you have Pokemon and you are a Pokemon.
You can't tell behind the blindfold, but Riley is squinting at you.
Tucker pipes up and says to that,
Well, I used to help take care of Pokemon, so I guess it makes sense that I can help Puppy too. I hope he's doing okay.
or actually rather, they're doing okay. I don't think Ginger has ever been figured out for Puppy.
Puppy is puppy.
Puppy is Puppy.
Yeah, so long as wherever Puppy is, there's not a whole bunch of chewable stuff on the ground, they'll be fine. Even if there's chewable stuff, Puppy will be fine. But whatever we left on the ground, he could just stack about it.
Tucker does kind of. He does. Well, you can't see him looking thoughtfully, given he's also wearing a blindfold. But his ears kind of pivot, thinking perhaps of a little bit of anxiety, wondering if there was anything left that shouldn't have been left around Puppy's height.
Oh, you poor naive soul.
Oh yeah, totally.
You think anything is out of their reach?
All depends on their agility, I suppose.
You have yet to see little puppy Puchienas climbing things via biting.
That does sound like what a Puchina would do.
Would you like me to read your lines because of throat? Okay. I'd just like to make sure. There's a few things we might want to omit from our report, especially some of the things a certain librarian asked us to avoid mentioning, but we should probably at least let Pangoro meet Rida and explain the circumstances. No problem, Kyrio. You go grab water. Minor reminder, everything you two told you is under wraps.
Right, the fact that we know about the Dark Star and stuff, that is under wraps.
Yes, everything you know about it.
Tucker actually would actually remark at that point, just very briefly, and mention,
I think there are some things we were asked not to share too much, too. But also, yeah, I think Pango Jango might get a little upset with some stuff anyways.
Yeah. So, doesn't he have, spies and stuff?
This would not surprise us. Hatterene thoughtfully cups her tiny chin in her hat hand.
Joe, are you familiar with Mr. Pingo?
We are familiar with how guild leaders operate. Suffice to say,
and spies.
it is only good that a leader would have an information network. Otherwise, they would remain ignorant and uninformed. A leader is, after all, only one Pokemon.
Tucker sort of tilts his head and asks,
I wonder if that means that Pangoro has anybody at the library, then.
It is possible, but doubtful. The library is situated on an entirely different continent, and is relatively exclusive. As she ponders this, she looks to Noibat, whose mouth is currently full of berry waffle. Don't ask how Kamo made berries into waffles, he did. It would take someone with a dragon's lineage in order to access the tower from here. Or a psychic type who had been there of considerable power.
Tucker nods.
Aside from Noibat, I can't think of any dragon types in town. Well, maybe there's some. And psychic types don't seem very common outside the tower. At least not around the Plains continent.
Ralph smirks. Well, I'm part psychic type, and I've been there. Considerable power. Still working on that one, but give it time, and soon I'll be like doing all sorts of cool stuff.
Tucker kind of bleps and does a little giggle.
Well, I guess we're going to be expanding exactly what Savantown has inside of it, thanks to you. And others. Maybe we can get the population growing or something. And maybe Pangora's goals in growing the continent's wealth and all that. Hopefully that can be better too.
I mean, I'm the best at helping things expand. I mean, just look at me. He slaps his thumb.
Tucker kind of does a little sigh and flops an ear.
You're more of an aura than anything else right now for me, but I think I get what you mean.
To be fair, Florence pipes up, psychic types aren't exactly known for liking terribly hot weather. Aye, Miss Hatterene. The environment of this continent is not conducive to psychic type habitation. This is correct. Mostly. What, Tubby?
Sounds like you need to change some settings.
I've never bothered to turn off censoring. It's funny what it censors.
Oh, an overactive censor just makes things dirty where they aren't.
Just right out of the middle of the word. Just the first 3 letters there, and then censor block, and then stance.
Well, let's make sure we're not keeping you here longer than necessary, Brooke says. Shall we get going? Indeed. It is better that we get to the patient sooner rather than later.
Tucker nods to this.
A question, if I may. Luxray folds their paws before them from where they sit. Are we taking Lyre with us?
Do they want to go? They can't even really understand us.
Tucker actually has a thing to say on that.
Well, he was locked up for so long. I feel like it'd be rude to just make him go somewhere else. It might be good for him to choose where he wants to go. But it also might be good for him to stop by Savantown with us at least. It is kind of a dangerous continent.
Yeah, it might be better for him to live in a town. Lean over in his general direction. Hey, yep. Lyre. Hey, Lyre, we're going to a town.
Are they outside?
Yeah, they're at the cave
I like
entrance.
south. Yeah, I like south.
They're just gonna yell throughout the whole cave. Yo, Lyre! Just lean out a window.
I mean, we heard him from here, or we heard him from where he is.
That's
so
true.
It only makes sense that he could hear us.
But he's also he's a magical instrument, though. You have to. He might have
Magical
more.
instrument!
Maybe he can go for make sound go further.
Right, you hear a garbled mess of words that was probably Ralph.
Ryder just sort of looks over their shoulder for a second and then shrugs.
My voice isn't magical.
You're also trying to convey, actual words across that distance.
To somebody who has trouble with the language. I should know.
Sure.
Or at
Yeah, I'll
least,
try to use like sign language or something.
well, I don't know.
I wouldn't
does
let
he-
I saw.
Does Liar understand fully, or
I'll read Brooks then.
okay?
Seems Lyra was left in our charge by Eternatus, Brooke says. As long as one of us present... As long as one of us present sticks with him, I think we fulfill the terms of that agreement. Oh, right. Things happened while we were unconscious. It may be best if you spare us the explanation. Including for Florence. Why? That said, I wouldn't be surprised if Lyre can understand us. I would need to do some research, but I have theories. Unless, of course, our resident storyteller wants to tell us a story. Looking annoyed, Florence just turns his head away. Riley slowly leading over. Holy crap, you shut him up.
Tucker does a little thought moment, wriggling his tail.
Hey, Ralph.
Yeah.
Maybe Mawa could help us translate. Maybe she knows something about the language he knows.
Oh, maybe. That could be fun. Anywho, we're not getting any closer standing here. We'll just be hitting the old dusty trail.
Are you guys leaving? Zeal perks up, hopping to his feet. I'm gonna be here a little longer, but I promise I will get back to base as soon as possible. As soon as I finish my mission.
Well, you're on a mission. Well, what kind of mission?
I slowly drift to the sides.
Tucker does a little bit of a yip.
Well, we'll hope to see you back soon.
Looking up at the sky, whispering, "Sorry you didn't have an answer, Mr. DM."
No, it's fine. It's fine. That was a legit response. Akamo just comes over and pats Zeal on the head. It's fine.
I see
That's-
a secret mission. Ralph will play into it. A secret mission I see. Well, you carry on, George.
I wouldn't call it secret. I have it right here, and they have this neatly folded up square of a paper. Dad said I'd be allowed to help. I don't exactly recall giving you permission. Dad said I would be allowed to help. Actually, we should probably go and do that now, right, Zeal? Oh, yeah, we should probably go do that now. Bye, everyone! And they run out of the cave before Kamo can stop them. Right, Zeal and Hakamo come running out of the cave, just running past you off into the savannah.
Ryder just assumes that they're intentionally leaving. Why would they question it?
Fair. Hi, bye, we're doing boyfriend stuff. No, correct, but also not correct. Brooke glances at Florence. Well, regardless of who Lyre is, they're our responsibility now. Florence, you're the one who seems to know the most about them. Do you want to be in charge of their well-being for now? We're all headed in the same direction for now, so give it some thought. Florence folds his arms and idly thumbs over one of his chest strummy bits. I'm sure there's a word for them. I might take you up on that offer. Would have to consider it. After all, I'm a fickle, spoony bard, aren't I? And he glares over at Luxray. Ha, catty. Riley pauses. Please still teach me music. Percussion pecs.
This one's better.
Balbapia's official term is not very comfortable. They call them organs.
I mean, they are.
They are. I guess that's a fair, neutral term for them.
Tubby, why?
Tubby, no! Musical memories! Sounds like some cursed, like, fucking sing-along.
Why do you break the DM like this?
I'm quite proud of that one. Quite proud of that one.
No, Kyrio! That's not even correct, though. Strumbly bumblies. Oh, gosh. So I've heard, Rourke smiles. But a little chaos would probably do them good. If we are prepared, then. Hatterene lifts up their travel trunk, which miraculously made it with them.
Yay!
Perhaps I ought to ask, just one more time. Are any of you willing or intent upon taking a trial while you are here?
Cough, cough.
Tucker's ears fold in thought for a second. And then he quietly shakes his head.
Not just yet, Rourke says. Well, we're getting there. Mo nods. Very well. It's always best to ask. Easier to not make a second trip. But for now, thank you for at least not getting my home destroyed. Though, if my erstwhile son decides to stay at your base, I apologize for any trouble they may cause, and I pray you will treat them well.
Tucker does a little chuckle.
Well, you've had the decency of hosting us here. It only seems decent to do the same back.
Yes, but you don't have to deal with me being sick and rusting everywhere now, do you? There'll be no trouble at all, Rourke says. If anything, they'll help keep Zeal in line. Depends on the kind of lie. Well, I won't keep you, but this time I'm afraid I don't have supplies to give you for your trek back. Certainly not a straight one. I was avoiding saying it.
I thought at the moment the Kyrio said it. I thought at the moment. Oh, that's right.
I think Brooke is ready to go.
Okay. Well, if there is no further need to stay in the cave, y'all go to leave. Oh my gosh, there are so many of you right now.
Which is kind of helpful for Tucker, because he really can't rely on his normal vision. It's exceptionally unclear his traditional sight is. So having all these auras around that he can kind of just, like, you know, stick to, that's a lot easier.
By contrast, it sucks for Riley, because pretty much everyone except for Noibat is strong enough that your auras are fairly bright.
Ooh. A little bit of an overload.
But I'm so strong, my aura is like the sun.
He makes
It's like you
a
turned
comment.
emissions all the way up.
Wouldn't that be Zeal, the sun? Or sun aura?
Zeal is near them.
Yeah, that's true.
He mutters something about having to get a lead mask or something. Ryda didn't get asked, but Ryda also was outside.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, if Ryder would have come back inside. But I seem content to have a little time alone-ish.
Nice. I wasn't actually typing anything. I just saw 2 people typing, and I wanted it to be, say, 3 people typing on everyone else's screen.
Life goals?
So I do apologize, Hydra.
Oh, wait, reset. I want to see Riley and Tucker looking like robots from Nier or Monada. Really? Like, what? I haven't played the game, so I'm like trying to think what that means.
It's the blindfold thing.
It is
The blindfold thing. Wait, they all did. Yeah, they both did that. I'm sure there's a lore reason I don't know about.
Eh.
I don't think there is.
It's like, fuck it, we're robots. We don't need our eyes.
It feels like there is an in-setting lore reason, but also it's supposed to be symbolic.
Huh. So it's never actually explained. I kind of figured that would be.
It's not. It's really not explained.
I mean, it's near. Nothing is ever explained.
Yeah, Nier Automata. He said Amada, and I was just like, what's the word? I don't even know what the word is. So I just like spit it out.
But yes. Ryda, as you and Lyre sit outside, eventually everybody else starts to come out of the cave as well.
Oh, also, I'll say really quick, Kyrio, don't worry too much about how your voice sounds, because, like if it's scratchy or something. I swear I spent half of my streams with my throat being fucked up, yet people still enjoy listening to me, so...
Yeah, I know.
I've been thinking about that. Like, last night, it was just really bad. I don't know.
Ryder will just stand up to greet them as they walk by.
Tucker will bother to pipe up as he does struggle to make out who's who, but he does figure out that's right after a little bit.
What are we doing out here, Ryda? Are you feeling okay?
I simply wish to clear my head a bit.
Tucker nods a bit understandably to that. He certainly had those moments where he needed that. Is Noibat doing a ride?
Yes.
I appreciate this. Tucker's designated perch. Is nobody gonna say, hey, Ryder, you could evolve here? I don't know, maybe. I don't think Tucker would bring it up.
Yeah,
It's a complex
I think
topic.
Ralph might, I think Ralph would sort of have into that, leading with Oh, did we ever tell you what this place is, or like do you know about it? Like you researched about it in the town?
I cannot say I know much about this place, other than this is a location you have visited in the past.
Oh yeah, well that's good. That's good. It's like the place where he like moves his hand trying to think of the correct word. Intelligent Pokemon like us go when we're ready to evolve. You I was about to say Blue Skidoo. you you walk inside one of those mirrors. There's some fancy magic, and you have this vivid hallucination. And if you win, you evolve.
If you win your hallucination.
I don't
You
think
come
that's how
here
it
to
works.
evolve. And all it requires is for you to see a vision of sorts.
Yeah, but like there's stipulations you have to be ready and all that jazz.
What exactly are the requirements to be ready?
It's just a bunch of
These-
mumbo jumbo saying if you're not ready, don't do it.
Yeah, Ralph shrugs. Yeah, I fought like this gluttony demon.
A test of strength?
I mean, technically I evolved and I didn't actually go through a trial.
I know it wasn't really a test of strength. It was more a test of willpower and stuff. You like tried to tempt me and stuff. I sure hope my vision wasn't confidential. Yeah, it's my vision. I don't care.
Odd. Different from how it's done on different continents. Although that is not my study of expertise. I don't think you necessarily need to win. Of course, I never underwent a trial myself.
I'm waiting for Kyrio's thing.
My experience with it just confronted me with my past. Makes sense.
If that is all it takes, it seems rather simple. I suppose if it does not take much time, I could perhaps take on this trial.
Ooh, exciting.
I suppose. The amount of time it takes seems to vary. Then again, that depends on if you actually need to recover. I don't think Kamo would exactly be happy with us all staying much longer. But I suppose, worst comes to worst, I could carry you. Now that's surprisingly nice of you. You're being particularly sour today, Florence. He cracks his neck. Well, I didn't sleep right.
So you said you fell asleep at the climax of the story?
Yes!
Fill you in. Ah, yes, I'm the smartest. Oh yeah, I knew. Okay, I will fill you in, and I'm gonna like scoot next to him and fill him in
Florence
on the exciting
squinting at
details.
Ralph. We should probably get going as soon as we can, but if you want to give it a shot, now's a good opportunity, Brooke says.
Tucker does chime in one little bit.
Though I do think we'll be back later for the same purpose if you want to do it then.
He kind of speaks vaguely, but it seems like he might be implying for himself.
I believe I can do this rather quickly and be on our way. From what you have explained, it does not seem very intense of a process.
while people are typing. Tucker relates.
I was considering it, but I think I need to look in the mirror again and see the possibilities. Right now, I can't really do that very effectively.
That is understandable given your current condition.
What does Tucker... Actually, what does Tucker... What is Tucker's vision when he looks at a mirror with this state, actually?
You'd need to go look in one.
Well, if they're going back in, I suppose that'll happen.
Not all of you have to go back in. Some of you can stay outside if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna chill next to this guy talking his ear off about the exciting climax he missed.
Perk's gonna hang outside. Riley and Lizard are gonna hang outside. Wow. Luxray will come back in, mostly because it is cooler inside. But Hatterene will stay outside. They're unbothered by the sun.
There's the cat.
Tucker will go inside because he was thinking about what he was saying, but also just in case there is any trouble. Because at this point, Tucker's kind of seeing that it can be sometimes intense, sometimes not. For people to evolve here. So I guess he'll bring Noid down with him.
Yeah. I just realized that my trial kind of represented temptation as well as it represented fear. But yeah, I explained in my Ralphie way, but I'm trying also to be as, accurate as possible and hit all the actual beats while throwing in the sort of bluff in between.
So Ralph is just trying to fill in Florence as best he can.
Yeah. Oh, he's also gonna ask Hatterene. It's like, okay, so Hatterene, is it because you named your hat Irene? Did your hat's name Irene?
Hatterene is using their trunk as a seat. They do not deign to respond.
Sorry, I only answer smarter questions.
They refuse the joke. Meanwhile, Riley opens his mouth to say something smart-ass, and Lizard just gently clamps it shut and shakes their head. But I digress. Back in the cave, you all find Kambo currently sort of sweeping things up with a straw. I say straw, but it's more like a savanna grass broom. Oh. Did you forget something, perhaps? And yes, Noibat did come along with you. They've just been quiet.
This is fine.
I wish to partake in the trial.
May I as well?
Tucker's ears perk up.
And I'm not pulling out Kambo for this.
Okay.
I didn't see that coming.
Neither did I.
Kambo regards the two prospective evolvers. Very well. If you think yourselves ready. But know that failure is a part of life. Do not be discouraged if you do not manage your trial. And he takes the trio down a different hallway from when he brought all of you to the mirror that Riley was at originally, when you fought Tiber. The shapes of the crystalline mirrors are a bit different here. Their surfaces are faceted, managing multiple reflections rather than one. He pauses a little way down this hall and gestures to one. For you, small friend. Noibat lands on the floor and just sort of does a few little hops closer and touches the mirror. They pass out. This way. Further down, and on the other wall, he gestures to a different mirror. This one for Ryda. While Tucker will not perceive anything, Ryda will see a singular, fairly large silhouette waiting for them.
Ryda will nod and then proceed towards the silhouette.
Yay! I gotta find new music.
I love Fox's reaction. Time for trauma!
What does Tucker say when looking into the mirrors, at least on the way? Tucker is casually regarding as they go, but he's mostly staying quiet and kind of more observing what the others are doing, mostly by hearing the conversations. But he can, of course, sort of still follow. His vision, his normal vision still exists in sort of a tetrary form, but it's very loose. It's hard to make out things very much. But, yeah, he's more or less observing what's going on. He's not interested to evolve, but he's interested in the idea of it. And he kind of wanted to spend time down here, not only to just to spot the other two, for one, but also because he just wanted to contemplate for a bit down here.
So, one thing that Tucker will see is now righted is that Thing's minion and our new friend will get 2 weeks vacation every year starting next year. Yay! Sorry about that, everyone, including Beerus. That's not
in a side tangent. Every single thing ever that has a free moving camera needs to get together and have a meeting and discuss the way to move the camera. I'm like trying to move the camera the way you move the camera in Blender, and I keep like suddenly.
There are a few camera modes, mine. You might want to just switch to the other ones.
I'm in first-person cam because that's the way Minecraft Flight works. But I've been messing around in Blender and Unity so much that I done got used to the more obtuse camera controls from a program that has 100 million keybinds.
I gotcha. Oh yeah, that's right.
Understandable.
Didn't I save that? Yeah, it was right here. For anybody wondering what Tucker's vision is like, I have this little. Wow, it's really small. Well, you can still look at it, sort of. I guess I can copy a bigger version just for reference for this stream. Why not? If I scale it up, it's easier to see. This is a shot from Final Fantasy XIV. It's an area in the game. I'm sorry, it's low res, but it has this sort of crazy, like, jet black and green sort of look to it. That's kind of how Tucker's vision's working right now. It's very hard for him to see in any sort of light. It gets really blinding. That's why he's wearing the cloth over his eyes. So whatever Tucker sees,
monochrome.
Whatever Tucker sees is going to be really a distorted version compared to what it normally looks like.
Yeah. Or sepia tone. Yeah, very sepia tone.
Yeah, kind of a greenish sepia.
I would consider it teal, but that's me.
Yeah,
I like teal. I like blue. But Tucker is also going to see, in brief flashes, a Mightyena, though it's not always the same with each mirror you pass, and occasionally you will even glimpse connection.
Tucker does also relate to Hakamo that he's not here to evolve himself, but just wanted to more or less spot the others and sort of think about the idea while he was down here.
So,
Yes.
we're going to start off on number 32. Events 132, sorry.
132? Okay. E132, got it. Because I just realized that each category has a different letter, so you can just give the first letter of the category and then the number and then the song number. E132. Let's hope we don't get to Vince Sex. Don't fucking jinx it.
Please no. We have enough.
I could just buy a SoundSlap
Alright.
subscription and no longer worry about the whole breaking up of categories. But I just didn't really want to do that.
Honestly, it's helpful.
It is pretty
I
helpful.
sort of like it.
Oh, you like the broken up? You like it being broken up?
Yeah, it makes it more categorical.
Fair. I guess it does make it a little easier to find things, because it's not like...
I mean, unless that subscription lets you make multiple playlists.
I mean, I could make multiple playlists and just have it on one profile, that's the thing. Rather than multiple accounts. So
okay, well,
yeah.
even so.
It's an idea, maybe, but I don't exactly have tons of money, so...
And yes, this one is soft.
It is.
Ryda,
Yes.
you find yourself in a dark space, much like the others have in the past. Not that you would know, necessarily. After all, every time they came in here, and especially in the mirror, your vision would be obscured. It feels familiar. As your eyes adjust to the dark, you see it's a spacious room with support pillars, and what might be a vaulted ceiling, or just one that endlessly ascends into pitch blackness. The floor is some sort of solid stone, as you feel beneath you. As you observe this room, you become aware of a presence. An entity, several meters away from you, watching. But you cannot tell who or what they are. They're too shrouded in shadow.
Ryda will slowly approach them. Are you intended to be my trial?
Hold thy steps, wall.
Who are you?
The obstacle asks whom we are. To understand, they must cease being a wall. They must become a portal. Every lock matched a key, is it not so? Are you content to serve? Or will you rise?
I will continue to serve my mistress. It is my duty.
Then let us see the strength of your duty. And mayhaps your own will finally shine through.
Very well then.
They snap their fingers, and a spotlight suddenly appears on you. You recognize this floor, vaguely. It looks like a ballroom floor, almost. Pardon me. I want to make sure I have...
So, what is this right as encountering? What's it look like?
They can't see it.
Oh, it's unclear.
As far as I'm aware, it's voices.
It's what?
Just voices.
Just voices. I see.
By the way, anyone who's played Kingdom Hearts 2 and gotten to the Beauty and the Beast world, the ballroom in there is a good match for what this arena is supposed to look like.
Hmm.
You cannot see through the dark, but you can hear heavy footsteps approaching you. You haven't changed at all. A familiar voice. A painfully familiar voice. I require you to roll evasion.
Alright. I got lag. I have to re-roll that, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
It's okay. It's because that was the first time loading the dice images. Sometimes it's good just to roll a single dice just to get that leg out of the way.
Same roll.
Actually, it's interesting you bring up Beauty and the Beast, because somebody asked for the song. The song was based on Alice in Wonderland, actually. So still kind of relates to that a little bit.
Wow. Alright. It's a narrow miss, wind whistling past you, as a hammer slams into the floor, causing it to crack and fracture. And now I need to look through battle music. Specifically, I want...
Also, the what I quoted was artist and then song name.
I want... turn your volume down a bit. We want Battles 2 number 1.
2-1? Okay. B2-1. Got it. I'm liking this abbreviation style I thought of.
One sec, my table.
It's a Machoke, wielding a hammer. They appear to be wearing a half breastplate, as well as a pauldron.
Just ask. Alloy? Just to make sure?
Yes.
Okay.
And I know that's supposed to be for something else.
It's okay. It's alright. It's still... I think it sounds like it still fits, so I get what you mean.
There's a reason I picked one of their songs.
Okay. There might be a... Okay, fair enough. I mean, I trust your judgment, so... I guessed the volume right. Cool.
Dude, this is lit.
It is. It's a
It is
really good
very
tune.
This
intense
sounds
song.
like something from Napalm Records or something.
Once again, I'll go grab the music credit. Oh no, Kyrio crashed.
Oh no! How can you ever hope to win when you never change your strategy? They shift their grip on their hammer and swing upward.
Fighter will try and dodge again. This would be -2.
Correct.
You said Machoke, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
my.
something's wrong with my dice roller.
No, it's not you.
There we
It's,
go.
it's the fact that I was loading something. Sorry.
Dodged again.
You narrowly dodge, but rocks from the floor, fractured fragments pepper you. You have currently -1 defense. Are you going to keep running?
It is better than standing still.
Always running. You see scars start to fade in on their body as they continue to approach you. Another spotlight. This time their own. The oversized hammer looks normal in their grip as they point it at you. And you would call yourself her knight.
Of course I am. And I would stake my life on it.
You may now roll your initiative.
Okay.
Well, that's high.
I think my initiative's 5 if I'm reading my sheet correctly. So, 7 total?
Yeah, you're gonna go first.
Sweet.
Also, I'll share the music credit for this in the
I'm
chat.
gonna use Psychic.
Ah, here it is.
Actually, wait. Should I use Psychic first? I'm gonna use Growl first, actually.
Hated, if the rolls were the same, I would let whoever rolled first go first. Unless there was a specific reason for the other one to go first. Alright. Oh, right, the model has, like, scale stuff on it.
What? Oh, right. What? What do you mean scale stuff? Did I do say wrong?
No, it's in the description of the model. I just needed to note... I noted it down on the initiative. I needed to note the debuff.
Yeah, that's right. That's the newer models have that in the description stuff.
After Growl, I'll use Psychic.
Well, actually, if I recall, I think the scale information doesn't matter after I remove the platforms. So, you can delete that if you want, I think.
It's fine, I'm not going to worry about it. Oof. Alright, well...
I love when the dice just stack. Also, wow.
Yeah, they were clashing you.
Ouch.
Ow.
I would expect them to choke the clash well.
Well, you're gonna take 1 damage automatically.
I did.
Do they receive a damage? They do not.
Dang.
You think I'm going to fall for those tricks every time? And they slam their hammer down again, causing another spray of rocks to disrupt your concentration, forcing you back another step. How are you going to defend her if you keep walking away?
I do not intend to walk away. Is it still my go?
Yep, it's still your go.
Okay. I have an idea. So, they're very eager for me to not run away. So I'll do so, and run straight towards them. While about to swing my orb for the confusion, physical confusion, But just before impact, I will teleport behind them.
Ah, alright. Go ahead and do the teleport first and then the confusion.
Okay.
Yeah, it took me a second to realize why you're fighting the choke, but then I realized, oh, I know why. But also, I don't remember what is private and public, so I won't say anything more of that.
That was a glimpse.
It was a
public
glimpse,
glimpse.
okay. So that was public.
Okay, so your teleport is going to go off. I'm going to rule they aren't going to be able to dodge or count or clash this. Because they're going to try to swing at you expecting to counter.
Exactly.
So, go ahead and roll accuracy for confusion, just in case you crit.
So was this battle planned today, actually, or is this a more impromptu?
Yes and no.
Okay. So you guys
There's a
planned this in
possibility.
advance. Yeah.
Yes.
No crit, but you're still going to hit them.
Power of 2. Sometimes it's not the curse of 2, it's still okay.
Not terribly much, but you still have your confusion chance.
Yes.
2. No, actually. Oh, there you go.
Yes! The first
Oh,
time it
wow.
actually worked.
Is that the
First
first?
confusion.
first
All
successful
subject's
prop?
actions have -2 penalty. If the action fails or dice pool is reduced to 0, inflict 1 point of damage.
Yeah, actually, this is the first time we've seen Confuse, haven't we, in the game? Thinking about it. Unless somebody confused us and I just forgot.
I think it's been attempted, but not.
I've attempted it many times, it's just never been successful.
There it is for everybody else to look at.
I imagine a pawn rider running straight towards him, ready to swing, teleporting behind him and whacking him in the back of the head. How's that for how's that for running away?
Cute trick, but nothing I haven't seen.
You speaking as though you know me. It's quite bothersome.
Their expression darkens as they take a step back and face you. How could you forget? That's even worse than running away. Where is it?
Right?
There we go. Can one of you look up how much weight a Machoke has?
Oh no!
As a weight specialist, I can help you with that. Let's see.
55.
Davey, you're not the weight specialist.
55 kilograms? Really?
Oh, no, 70.
No,
kilograms. That was in pounds.
70.5 for kilograms. Or, yeah.
Really? You'd think it'd be heavier.
155.4 pounds. Actually, that is kind of light. Then again, they're 4'11", so they're not like normal adult height, I guess. Like you expect them to, being so human, you expect them to be like 5'11", but no, they're a foot shorter.
Alright.
Dense.
They leap at you and lift their hammer up, intent to overhand smash. They're using Heavy Slam, which is a steel move.
Flop dice. Could have been worse, I guess.
And I don't have enough evasion dice to even meet that, so it's gonna hit me.
Awesome.
Machop goes up on weight. Let's see. Machop, even Machop is shorter than an adult human. 503.
Aw, really? Sucky, only 4 damage. 4 physical damage, I should say. Or 5, actually, because Fairy is weak to steel, no?
Yeah, you ever want to feel superior about yourself? You're probably taller than Machop. Good for you.
So with the defense taken into account, it would be 2 damage?
You currently have physical defense -1 from earlier.
Oh, I do. I forgot about that. So 3
So
damage.
that's 3 damage.
Oof. That's a lot of damage. As
They
say.
bring their hammer down, slamming Rida into the floor, creating a minor crater from the impact. Cracks spider out from the impact point, even spiraling up some of the support pillars. How dare you forget?
Raido winces. I do not intend to lose to you. I will win.
You could never win before. You can't win now!
You are always cocky.
They smirk. Actually remembering? Or are you pretending? They
Who's
take
to
one-
say?
They take one hand off the grip of their hammer and go to punch you with close combat. Wow. You
I
might
think I
actually
can dodge this.
You might actually die.
Because I have 1 dice.
Nope.
Nope. Well, I'm out of dice.
Oh no!
Oh boy.
Oh no! What's gonna happen here? Federal? No, that's not.
No.
Raido gets
boy.
obliterated.
Oh no!
That's 6 physical damage, but you're resistant. So it'd be 5 minus 2 is 3. You're not out. Hey, everyone remember what happened in Ralph's trial?
Only vaguely. I don't remember him going down to 0. Did he go down to 0?
He did. Guess what? We're bleeding into Will.
This happens a fair bit. But hey, Will's useful for this reason.
They remove their fist, having given you quite the bruise across your face. Just stay down. If you're going to forget, you might as well just run away.
You're going to have to kill me before I give up on my mistress.
Yeah? How did that work out for you? Their body morphs and contorts. The room around you begins to crumble and darken as the spotlights flicker. A much larger form takes the place of the familiar Machoke. A Nidoking. One with a gleaming amethyst horn.
If you haven't changed at all, how do you expect to be?
Raido's body begins to tremor. I will defeat you. I cannot lose. Not again. I cannot lose.
They lift their leg. There we go. That is a crit stomp.
Ouch.
Sorry about that. That leg was me, by the way. Just to say.
No, that's okay. I wanted to warn you, but I had a lot
My
going
God,
on.
Ryder got obliterated.
Yes, you did!
That's a 9.
Yeah, it is. That's a 10, actually.
Then a king go in camo style.
Maybe Ryder's not quite ready for this.
Yeah, how big are Nido King? Now I'm suspicious of every Pokemon I thought was big. 407. Still shorter than a human. But yes.
That's a complete crock and a lie.
They are very wide, so I guess even at that height they would be very imposing.
Like, that is a total crock. They are much larger than that. I absolutely refuse to believe that Nidoking is just freaking 4 feet.
Well, a little over 4, but still. Under 5, yeah. Kind of feels, especially with Gen 1, they like the men to make these cool Pokemon, powerful Pokemon, but they're also like, well, kids are going to play this, and it's like Pokemon trainer stuff, so we don't need them too tall, because, you know, they're for kids. So, make them big for kids, not for big for adults. Kind of the attitude I feel like they went with.
In any case, we can stop the battle music.
Okay.
Yeah, because Ryder just got destroyed.
Good timing, because the song was ending. Alright.
Let's see.
Machoka's been stored in the Game Boy for later. Just in case.
E2 12.
Okay.
The foot comes down, and for a moment there's a crushing weight, a suffocating claustrophobia. As it's removed, your vision begins to fade at the edges, darkening, blurring. Just a sneering, fanged smile, and that gleaming crystal horn. Worthless trash. You couldn't even protect your mistress. Don't worry. I'll be here when you want to serve a real master. The room has changed. It's something different. A throne room. He's saying something else, but you can't hear it. But you can tell. They like gesticulating with their hands as they move away. Then they sit themselves upon a throne dais, leaning on it, smugly. You're being dragged away. You're trailing blood.
As Ryder's being dragged, basically dying, tears begin to roll down their eyes, and the only thing they can utter is mistress. I have failed again.
You awaken, thrown back from the faceted mirror. You collapse on the floor. Your lungs burn for air. Your hidden eye pains you. Tucker gets to see as Ryder is thrown away from the mirror. At almost the same time, further back down the hall, Noibat is the same.
Suffering the same fate, you mean?
Yes. They squeak, and they slowly try to right themselves. They don't look happy.
Tucker was busy with his contemplations, but he certainly was keeping an eye of where the two were, and seeing them effectively come back to this plane and not in such great shape. He does hurry over first to Noibat.
I'm gonna guess it didn't go so well.
No. It did. Using one wing, they try to rub away tears from their eyes. They're avoiding Tucker's eyes. Or, well, blindfolded
I
face.
was gonna say it's kind of easy to do, fortunately for him. Tucker is fairly easily tell he's crying, though. He scoops his nose underneath Noibat and just lets him cry against him for a second if he wants. Or, if he prefers to hide his face, he can easily climb on top of Tucker's back now.
You feel Noibat climb on your back, burying their face into your fluff. They haven't stopped crying, but they've become quiet about it.
Tucker lowers his ears and does give a few sympathetic whines, but doesn't bother him with questions or anything. Tucker then heads over to Rida. And he's a little more pensive at talking to Rida, but he expresses,
Are you right?
Rida doesn't really move at that mention. Their body trembles a bit, and if you manage to look at their face, it's their standard neutral face they always have, except tears are running down it. But it's like you're talking, but no one's home.
Tucker does kind of pivot his ears. It is harder, frustratingly harder for Tucker to quite read how people are doing when he can't properly see them. But he does nonetheless sense what Rida is feeling. Though Rida is a little harder to sense than some.
Do you need a moment alone?
He kind of droops, knowing that he's probably not getting a response right now, though.
Rida's body juts to motion, and you feel as if Rida was going to attempt to use psychic on you, but stops himself.
Oh. Tucker does recoil a little bit. The sudden motion and... Well, again, he may not have the best vision right now, but he does sense things pretty well. Well, there was a moment of hostility, I assume?
Yes, it was almost as if they snapped and immediately went to fight or flight reaction.
Tucker... In that case, Tucker does back away a little bit.
Oh, apologies. My mistake.
It's okay. It must have been pretty hard.
I suppose I failed.
Tucker actually does a little chuckle. Though he's not trying to be rude, obviously. He seems to droop right afterwards.
Sorry. It's easy for some, it seems, but...
He kind of turns away for a second.
You guys are pretty strong to at least try. I just want you both to know that. I don't know if I can. I want to get stronger too. For the team. I don't know if I always do enough. but I don't know if I could succeed at this either.
What are you talking about, Tucker? You're stronger than both of us. I mean, just because you haven't tried, that doesn't make you any weaker. Besides, it takes a lot for you to be here with us. And I don't know about Ryda, but I appreciate it.
Tucker kind of floofs his tail back and just kind of pats Noibat with it. You guys are the ones having a rough time. You shouldn't be trying to comfort me. But thanks. I think once I can figure out what's going on with me, this isn't the first time this happened, and I guess it's when I overexert myself. If I can learn how to handle it better, then maybe I feel ready to try this trial. Thanks, Noibat. And Ryda, do you need a hand? Well, I don't exactly have those, but...
I appreciate the gesture. I would appreciate the assistance as well.
Tucker nods, and he kind of just, he approaches and kind of leans down, kind of offering his shoulder or back as a place to grab onto and kind of help Ryda prop themselves up.
They do, and their hand, while placed on you, you can still feel the trembling.
Can we not talk about this to the others?
Tucker nods. Yeah. We can just say that it didn't work out.
Thanks. I'm gonna be quiet for a while, I think.
Tucker kind of shakes gently and kind of floofs up his fur to give Noibat something to bury into for a little while.
They do. They hug you as best as their little wing arms can.
Tucker's tail remains floofed over the top of Noibat for now. The best hug he can give right now.
After Ryda gets their bearings, they will wipe their face, getting rid of the tears, and sort of dust themselves off to look more proper.
You can always try
I
us
believe
again.
we should... Go ahead.
Tucker is just going to relate to Ryda as they stand up. Just, this can always be tried again. And maybe next time I'll join you.
Perhaps next time we'll be more successful. Though, I believe I have wasted enough of the team's time. Shall we proceed?
Tucker does a nod and follows Ryda, as he still has a little trouble navigating the environment. What HP is Ryda at after that ordeal?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
your HP should be back to normal.
because
Okay.
of mirror event.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say yay, no repercussions, but that's not correct.
Not exactly. I must
There was
ask.
emotional damage.
I do want to know, while they were doing their trial, what did Tucker experience by looking
He did not touch any mirrors, I want to say, physically. He just looked. Kind of like he did before, but this time with more focus. Well, what his eyes could allow him to.
Looking at Red or Noibat while they were unconscious by their mirrors wouldn't have given you anything. But looking at the other mirrors, Tucker would have seen himself. Usually, there would be a Mightyena just behind you. And behind them, Connection. Sometimes it would vary. You might blink or glance away for a moment. And sometimes there would be only the Mightyena, only Connection, only you.
One thing Tucker would pay attention for is the Mightyena he saw. It was always non-hostile, wasn't it?
Indeed. It always had a softer expression. Gentler. Sympathetic.
It's something he would take note on.
Sometimes even sad.
I'm thinking about it. The type of vision that he has. Puccina's and Mayens would look very unusual with that vision. I feel like their darker fur would become jet black, effectively. A void, almost.
Indeed. Technically, the mirrors for Tucker are slates of white. It would almost be looking at a silhouette. The only creature that would be clear and defined would be Connection when viewed in the reflection.
Connection remains clear because of Connection's nature. There is a certain solace that Tucker does feel seeing nothing that scares him in the mirrors. I guess I'd put it that way. Gives him some introspection.
Fair. Maybe next time the dice won't be so mean. Oh, fair. That's sweet of you.
Tucker was smart in coming down, though, so he could be an emotional support dog.
As you three leave the hall, Kamo is there, waiting. He doesn't judge. He doesn't comment. But he does, solemnly, lead you all back to the entrance. Do not take failure negatively, he finally says. It might hurt, but you learn and grow from it. All things that survive failure do.
At that last phrase, Ryder sort of winces a bit.
And that is what matters. It's what's always mattered for us Pokemon. To survive. So go. Survive. He smiles a bit. Survive and return. I have come to enjoy your team's company. It would be a shame if I never had it again.
Tucker does a little polite bow.
Thank you, Hakamo.
Rita will nod as well, but not say anything.
Or I'm saying Cabal. Sorry, I always mix up the evolutions with these guys.
It's okay, I knew what you meant. Also going to give much verbal appreciation to Kyrio and Tubby for letting me do this.
Actually, I think I mixed them up so much because I think so hard about how to pronounce their names that I didn't forget which name I'm supposed to be saying.
Right. When the three of you are ready, you leave to join your friends, to rejoin the team, and begin the trek to Savantown.
I wonder how long that actually took.
In real time, 30 minutes. At
Okay.
most.
So everybody had to wait for a half hour. That's fair.
Not the most time.
It's okay, everybody could get their morning stretches in and stuff before we start traveling.
Well, got to tell a story.
You did.
Yeah, probably gave enough time to fill in. That definitely gave enough time to fill in Florence about everything, so.
When you come back, I can't words, damn. When you come back, Brooke turns to the three of you. What you saw in there was personal, and you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But I want you to know that whatever it wasn't real. But it's a reflection of what you're trying to overcome. Just remember that you don't have to overcome it in there. And out here, you're not alone.
Tucker quietly nods to that, and as Brooke says that last part, he nuzzles his tail extra floofily over the way back.
Although this was not successful, it was enlightening. I now recall an old friend and an old enemy.
Lightbat manages a smile, nods, but doesn't say anything. Yeah, Burke nods. That happened to me too, he says, smiling fondly towards the cave. Come on, gang. Let's get going. It's gonna take y'all about 2.5 to 3 days to get to Savantown. So,
Hey, Florence, have you ever let anyone else play your little, like, chess dinglings?
I mean, yeah. He sort of shrugs and gives a non-committal answer.
Is it, what's the species again?
Toxicity.
Toxicity. Is
I
it
said
like
that.
is it like a kinky thing for Toxicity to like let another Pokemon play your musical chess?
Seriously, Ralph, there are children present.
Okay, fine.
I prefer Kyrio's answer.
Not on the first. Well, that's kind of implied. Breaking up the tension.
Thank you, Ralph. That was much needed.
It was.
I'm good.
Where's Ralph's theme? We need to put on Ralph's theme.
We could.
At this point, Ralph's theme almost needs to be da 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 da.
Found it. It's 42.
Same page? Yeah.
Yep. Same.
E2 42, if you want to play it. This was done specifically for the game, in fact. By SolusOwl, I should point out.
You know, I bet my belly could be like a drum, and if I get good at it, we could be like the 3 Pokemon band, except with the instruments. Is that still considered acapella?
Doesn't Ocapella normally require something like 4 Pokemon? No, wait.
No, you're thinking of Quartet.
Aye.
Yeah, you're thinking of Barbershop Quartet.
Well, too bad neither of us has hair to style.
No. Forming a barbershop quartet sounds pretty awesome. Oh man, now I have options for when, the Team Clear thing kind of, plays its course, which, isn't gonna be for a long time, but now I could join, I could be a knight, or I could start a barbershop quartet, or maybe, maybe I'd go back to town. Oh man, it's exciting. The future holds lots of possibilities.
Riley just groans.
In the epilogue, it said, and Ralph joined a barbershop quartet and rode off into the sunset with Mawile.
Fair bit a good point though. They know what barbershops are. I'm a little. I'm like yes and no. Like yeah, that is a little surprising. At the same time, I feel like some Pokemon could totally use haircuts now and then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you think Alolan Diglett gets that sweet do?
Perfect example.
It's not common. They would be more an esthetician or a stylist because not every Pokemon has hair to cut.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be like a grooming shop or something.
Yeah, well, honestly, I mean, how Furfuro is built around being styled.
Or maybe I just stay and work at the post office until they're old and need saving again.
Oh my god.
So, does somebody want to give me a survival roll for the first day?
Ooh, let's do it.
You go for it. Go for it, Ralph. Also, I just immediately thought Tucker with a heart trim. For a heart trim.
Cute. This would be. It's either. Yeah, it's tough or vitality, survival, and then nature. Because you're roughing it. It should probably be insight, but bleh, I'm not going to change the roll.
You can totally poodle cuts through that floofy. 3.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby indeed. To be fair, most ferals and wilds probably aren't going to go after a group as large as yours.
Yeah, we definitely have a strength in numbers situation, so it's most likely going to be uneventful.
Indeed. The first day is fairly uneventful. You see some ferals keeping their distance because, well, you're a group of multi-special Pokemon wandering around together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we'll hit them with everything under the rainbow. Dude, with that in mind, wild packs of evolutions must be like super like scary in the feral world.
Evolution packs, you said?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Do EVs live in packs?
I mean,
have no idea.
I feel like when it comes to evolutions, you generally will see them gravitate towards others of their own type. Because, I mean, usually it's kind of environmentally based or involving stones. So you wouldn't really see them a menagerie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in the wild specifically.
Yeah. Oh man. I wish they'd bring everything. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, they'd all have Eevee pups, but yeah.
Eventually, the first day comes to an end, and as it starts to get dark, Lizard and Riley decide to gather stuff for a campfire.
Oh, you know what grows around here? I'm gonna look for a noodle fruit tree.
Oh god, I forgot about the noodle fruit. But as soon as you said, oh, you know what grows around here, I'm like, oh no, the noodle fruit.
I don't remember the noodle fruit, but I feel like I should. We definitely encountered that before, I remember that.
Alright, this time do a survival roll, but insight instead of tougher vitality.
I channel my R&D into this.
If anybody... no, you do not find a noodle fruit tree. You do find a little bit of water, though, that you can share with everyone. Well, most of people.
Alright, I shall let everyone know where nearby water is.
It's a small watering hole. Is there anything anyone wants to do at the end of this night?
So everyone is basically getting situated for the night, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if that's the case, I assume food and water shelter's been taken care of. Hasn't, or...
There's a watering hole. Food-wise, I don't know what our rations are like, if we even have them.
I don't see any in y'all's inventories.
Yeah.
I mean...
Out of tea cakes. Well, I got the Backux macaroni wheels if you want super stale carts of craft macaroni wheels.
I mean, Brooke has some anti-status berries for emergencies. Yeah, some of y'all have berries that you can consume if you don't want to. If you don't want to forage.
Tucker...
Yeah, we're tough.
Yeah, Tucker would normally probably try to go foraging and stuff, but again, his vision state, he seems more inclined to stay with the main group and just kind of rest, honestly.
I mean, Ralph has a corpse.
We could eat that.
Oh, I think it's a good idea. I want to pull meat off the corpse, stick it on like something. My charcuterie stew. Fuck yeah.
Probably fresh enough. It's probably still fresh enough to eat.
Yeah, I'm gonna like tear off a chunk of stick it on my spear and stick it over the fire. Let's go.
Assuming it's edible, which is a good question.
I'll test.
Okay, Ralph. You're gonna try roasted dragon eater, you monster.
Wait, what's the yield? What's the yield on that though? And do you have a tool to like cut out the meat and stuff?
I mean, he has the spear.
Oh right.
I mean,
fair
worst
enough.
case scenario to fry it, he has the zapper, and he is strong. You can crack open its shell like it's crab.
That's no problem. Yeah, open it up.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But yeah, besides, Riley and Lizard started a fire, so I can roast it over that. It's like, hey, look like this makes me the dragon eater.
Tucker does get some interest in what Ralph is doing. His nose probably figuring out what's going on first. What's the progress of that? What's the smell of this cooking process?
It doesn't smell pleasant. But But you can't tell if that's because it's cooked badly or the meat. Because some meat just smells bad.
Yeah, it's true.
And here, when I'm pretty sure it's cooked thoroughly, I'm gonna take a big old Snorlax bite of this monstrosity.
Give me a flat vitality survival.
I don't have anything to snip with. Brian stuck me out of both my insults.
Flat Vite survival is a good stat up for you, though. Let's see.
Here we go. Tasty, delicious nutrition, just Dragon Eater.
5.
Perfectly fine.
It's stringy. It's tough. It's food. You would
Snake size-
imagine
Yeah, that's true.
that it would be like lobster, given the way this one kind of looks, but no, it's not. It's mostly like sinew.
Snakeside makes a good point, though. Carnivores don't taste very good. We don't know what these things are, technically. We know they're hostile and, keeping things in jail, but as to whether they eat meat or not, I don't know. Bugs,
Yeah,
man.
carnivore meat inherently does not taste great.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's just how it's used. The more the muscles are, used for, powerful stuff, being a carnivore, toughens the meat, makes it not as good.
It's a defense mechanism to make sure they're at the top of the food chain. I give a thumbs up, though. Oh yeah, I did get you. I think it's fine. Well, first Tucker a little piece.
Tucker is kind of skeptical over the smell, but since it is something meaty, he will eat it. He will go for it.
By the way, I've reduced the amount of slots the corpse takes up by 1.
That's
nice.
Fair. Yeah, Tucker was actually planning on just not eating, so he'll take the meat.
Hey Riley, are you still on that no meat kick?
What do you think, Ralph? He says, biting into the beginnings of a salad that he and Lizard have gathered.
I'm shrug. Yeah, do
Crunch.
yourself more for us.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Does Tucker require a roll out of curiosity for eating the meat as well?
Yes, you must also do a vitality survival roll.
Let's see how this works out.
Anybody eating from the corpse must make a vitality survival roll. How's that?
It's probably the most
Right,
nutritive.
not,
Oh my.
because they're busy.
terrible, and then 6. Alright.
I'm gonna say
poison.
Oof.
Am I that mean? I am, because you have access to anti-poison. Tucker, you're poisoned.
Oh, is it even going to provide any nutritive? Is it even going to provide him any nutritive benefits?
Yes.
Oh, 'cause I
so
couldn't
long as you
do that.
don't throw up.
Tucker. Go
You
ahead.
feel nauseous. You get the feeling that this thing's insides are, perhaps mildly toxic. At least for most Pokemon. Brooke just watches with curiosity but doesn't partake. Lizard offers salad to Rita and Brooke.
Tucker just relates to Tucker relates to Ralph.
That was one of the poisonous ones, wasn't it?
It wasn't.
It wasn't. Tucker has a weak stomach.
I don't know. I feel fine. I pat my belly.
Are you going to eat a pecha berry and depoison yourself?
Who has one?
You have 2.
Oh, do I?
Yes.
Tucker will fumble at his make and eat a pecha berry. Yes.
I mean, I can't believe you don't watch it. Yeah. I won't say no to your shit.
No, Tucker still chokes it down. He just pairs it with a pecha berry.
Nice.
Well, it's food, if nothing else.
God, why do I personally relate to that? Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna eat this food. Oh, this is gonna totally make my stomach go nuts. I'm gonna eat this with Tums.
Also, I've just been swapping between people's themes at this point.
That's fair. I just kept it to Ralph's thing because it's kind of all a bit of a Ralph moment.
Yeah, if you feel like swapping between everyone's personal themes, go ahead. It's nice
What
to
do
have
you
the
think,
variety.
right?
That's fair. I'm
You
a little
want
lazy,
to eat
though.
the dragon eater?
Brooke also declines the salad. Oh, thanks. I'm watching my figure. Really? Riley looks Brooke up and down, raises an eyebrow. He's taken off the blindfold. It's dark enough that it's not too bad for them at the moment. You better not be going on a Riley diet. Oh gosh, that's not Lizard's current voice, that's their old voice, but whatever. You better not be going on a Riley diet. They squint at Brooke. Brooke
Yeah,
missing
but
fish.
Ralph totally offers Ryda some poison dragon eater meat.
So as you go to ask Ryda, they're not there.
Oh,
Oh
Yes.
my.
Hey, empty space where Ryder was. You want some meat?
Yeah, I like turned. Hey, do you want some? Oh.
just
Okay.
that anime moment of, hey character who is totally next to me, do you want, wait, where'd they go?
It does the anime bleep 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 thing where there's like the little dashes around where they were.
But yes, Ryda has gone off on their own to train in the night.
Don't worry, the figure's round, Brooke says with a chuckle. I'll find something later. I'm just into whatever this is, Brooke says, gesturing towards Ralph.
Tucker chimes in.
That's possibly a good decision.
He burps a little bit after saying that.
You burp out a singular purple poison bubble after having consumed the pecha berry. But interesting, Ryda is training in the night.
Also,
Yes. After that defeat, they wish to get stronger. And particularly, they are training with Double Team, basically sparring with a copy of themselves.
Also, sorry, I have to make this joke. After hearing a crocodile say, no thanks, I'm watching my figure, being that crocodiles have heckin' bellies, I just think Fat First say, yeah, we are too.
So Ryda, interestingly enough, Noibat will join you for training. Mind you, they aren't exactly strong enough to keep up with you, but they try.
So actually, that's kind of interesting. So you're training with yourself, basically, using Double Team. I didn't realize Double Team could be that complex, I guess, is the way I put it.
Well, on its own, technically, it's just sort of a fake copy. But Ryda's mixing it with something so it actually packs a punch.
What's it being mixed with?
Particularly psychic.
Oh.
Dragon Ball technique.
Oh, neat.
But
So essentially shadow clone instead of just illusion.
Also, I didn't know that was the thing they did in Dragon Ball. That's cool.
I mean, technically speaking, creative uses of moves.
Seems fair.
Wonder if Brooke will still have tummy once he evolves again. I don't know what figure Brooke wants to have.
I imagine his for alligator will be pretty freaking fit, but we'll see, I suppose.
He just suddenly has abs.
Suddenly abs.
He's totally right.
But we'll have to see. The night wanes, and eventually, it's the next day. Hopefully Ryda slept.
They did, after staying up for a decent amount of time, probably longer than Noibat.
That's fair. Well, yeah. Thing is, Noibat would normally be kind of nocturnal, but they've sort of adjusted their sleep schedule. Sort of. Alright, next day. Somebody who isn't Ralph, give me a survival roll to see where y'all end up. You may use Insight, Vitality, or Tough, plus Survival, plus Nature.
Oh, I could do it.
Okay.
Let's see.
Wow.
Well, at least we're getting out the worst rolls now.
You don't get as far this time as you did the first day of travel, but that in part has to do with avoiding a certain area. A familiar stretch of tall savanna grass that brings back bad memories. Thankfully, you happen to find some familiar overhangs that you managed to hide under once before, giving you all decent shelter for the night, although there isn't anything resembling water or a noodle fruit tree nearby.
Wow.
At least we're learning the good camping spots in the area. Also, Tucker doesn't seem terribly alarmed by the area because of the size of his group.
Sadly, it's also not a great foraging area at the moment. Based on a chewed-upon skeleton within the area as you were traveling, it seems that the Pyroars were hunting here recently.
Did I ever tell you about the time this Pyroar huntress totally tried to hit on me? And I was like, nah, babe. You gotta stay loyal to your king. And she was like, oh, but Ralph is so cool.
Oh, Ralph's son!
It true happened. True story, it totally happened.
Gee, why don't I believe that for 2 seconds, Ralph? Florence smirks. Right, you shouldn't.
Oh, I mean, some of the best stories are unbelievable and fantastical.
And not real.
Tucker kind of chuckles under his breath.
Even
Yeah.
I would struggle to believe such a trashy romance novel, Ralph.
I did totally throw one of them one time. I want to say I got Ice Hammer or something. I don't know. But I did totally chuck one of them. I've thrown a lot of Pokemon. I should make a list of Pokemon I've thrown.
That would be prudent. And then whenever you make a memoir, you can just have the list in there instead of trying to remember which ones you have and haven't thrown.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Oh man, I could add new Pokemon to the list every time I throw one.
You're going to need to keep the list on you, though.
I gasped. One time I even threw myself.
Tucker
There
kind
is-
of tilts his head. Oh, go ahead.
There's a collective what from Luxray, Hatterene, and Florence. And then Florence blinks, oh wait, no, you told me about that.
Yeah, I recount to them the time I metronomed at a button across the chasm, got fly, and I flung myself up there.
Tucker actually pauses when this whole bringing up of like making a list of Pokemon is like,
I feel like people did that in where I used to come from, making lists of Pokemon, keeping track of... Was it for throwing? I don't think it was for throwing. It was for something else.
he just kind of trails off. Tucker remembered Pokedexes.
He's been chasing that high ever since, Rook says.
Yeah, I got lots of good moves from Metronome.
Car. Bad.
Look, it is entirely possible that Tucker overheard someone talking about that, but didn't understand what it was.
Tucker was never a trader, so he's never personally had a Pokedex, but he's probably at least heard of them.
If anyone looks over to Rida, they're looking over at the group from a distance, sitting down. In front of them is a copy of themselves that constantly shifts as they try to make it change form into the rest of the group, one after another. Okay, I'm going to need Rida to make me some rolls for that.
Okay, essentially this is them trying to practice it.
Okay.
That's fine. Did you want to?
Oh,
Did you want to mark down anywhere on your sheet, like in a text box or something, for what this is?
Oh yeah, train.
For now, I'll just keep it question mark.
Okay. Please roll for double team and for psychic each. They will be at -4s.
This is basically just taking the double team illusions and making them more tangible and slightly more complex and functional.
This one is for psychic.
You know, I gotta wonder, as you do those rolls, I gotta wonder if, with how trainers are so, you know, feverish about trying to fill Pokedexes, I wonder if, like, anybody ever invades, like, Pokemon ranches and, like, no, hey, get out of there, that's not, those are our Miltanks, you can't catch one. Like,
Yes. Oh. Absolutely, yes. Okay.
That's why there are Pokemon Rangers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Pokemon Rangers don't actually catch Pokemon, so...
I gotta wonder if, since, you know, Tucker did work on a ranch, I wonder if his ranch ever had to deal with that. Probably.
Yes.
Somebody being unscrupulous about
I'm just gonna say yes. Like,
yeah.
freaking think of, like, Wild West Bandito version of Team Rocket.
Yeah. Oh, that actually would be a pretty cool team, actually. A pretty cool even team.
I said that and I immediately...
just like cattle rustler types.
Kind of imagine it. It's like, yeah, that would be cool.
Team name?
Like
Team Tumbleweed,
Wild West / Pioneer era Pokemon game.
That would be. I'd play that. That intrigues me.
Yeah, like Team
anyway.
Outlaw, Team Tumbleweed. It'd be cool.
Hey, there's a Tumbleweed Pokemon now.
Oh yeah, there is.
Anyway, Rida, give yourself. Actually, I'll type it in. I'm gonna give you 2 ticks.
Bramble.
One for the previous day, one for tonight.
Oh, yeah, it's a ghost too. I forgot
Nice.
that.
Yeah, it's one of those weird Pokemon that evolves only after you've had it out with you for something like over 300 steps.
Ah, yeah.
And then
well,
you have
sense
to level.
because the whole point of a tumbleweed is to travel, and
Then you have to level it, and it's one of like 3 or 4 different Pokemon that do that.
I do kind of like that thing, actually. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah,
I like it. It was
weird
fun
evolution conditions.
Tumbleweeds themselves are bizarre, so it makes sense to make it a Pokemon.
Took long enough. and yeah, as Kyrio said, how do you think the Safari Zone started?
Yeah.
Look, the Safari Zone is a preservation area.
That just allows people to catch if they pay to access, and they do it only a certain way. You know, certain ways, and they can't bring their Pokemon out. So.
They very much limit how it's done. Stares at Ash with his 30 Tauros. Gosh. Alright then. The night is uneventful, surprisingly enough. The moon above you is slowly waxing. at least one or two of you are reminded that Mawile had something that she wanted to do that involved a full moon. Right, next day. Somebody who is not Brooke or Ralph will need to make a survival roll.
I would suggest Tucker, just because he has more dice.
This is true. Also, I'm making people change who does the survival roll, because for the most part, you're not going to encounter anything that you can fight that you can't just destroy.
Was this a flat survival?
No.
Oh.
You can either do tough, vitality, or insight, plus survival, plus nature.
Tough vitality, insight.
I
Tough vitality
think
or
those
insight.
are all the same for you.
Yeah, I was going to say, those are all... So, tough vitality, insight, and then what are the other two?
It's survival in nature. You pick either tough, vitality, or insight, but it doesn't matter at all.
So
Those are the
3
same.
plus 3 plus 2, okay. It's actually just flat, it's just the same no matter what. So, it is... that.
Plus, it makes sense to go around the group since we're traveling as a group.
Also, I haven't really done anything this session too. Oh, yeah, it's a good
Nice.
Festival.
You've been a very good support, Pepper. Well, when Tucker takes the lead for trekking today...
Which he does mostly
Figment-
using his hearing and sound, given his state. Which he's getting more attuned to, I feel, over the few days.
Hearing and scent are actually very useful to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see worth beans, but you can smell your way back to Savantown. Tasty food, after all. And other scents, of course, but it helps that Rise must apparently be cooking something that involves meat.
And it's a path he's traveled before, so he knows some of the spells.
It's not long before the team comes upon the gates of Savantown. It's late in the afternoon, but you're home. It feels like it's been so much longer than it has. And for some of you, it's your first time here. Lyre, in particular, looks around in awe. They've been quiet over the course of the trip, though Florence has been keeping a watchful eye over them. Adarine, however, decides to keep their distance. Mayhap, you might be able to indicate where your domicile is.
Oh, fortunately for her, I think it's pretty close to the entrance, if I recall.
Well, it's close to one of the gates, at least.
One of the gates. It's near one of the gates. I don't know if the one we entered.
Well, not gates, the fence.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Also, shall I switch to Savantown?
Yes, we can swap to Savantown.
I know it's E1 something. Or, sorry. I know it's L. Just L. It's the only list that doesn't have multiple categories. L29. Let's see what the more chill version, L28. But probably 29.
It's been so long since I've heard this song.
It has been a while. Also, good night, people going to bed.
Yes, we're going to start winding down. It is 10 o'clock. Well, here it's 10.
Yeah.
I'm also going to assume Ralph made more Dragon Eater meat on the second night.
Yeah, most likely.
Tucker probably skipped that session of meat eating.
My bad, Brooke says. Technically our mission ends when we get back into town. So, how did you think of being on a pioneer team? Oh, right. I forgot. I liked being on your team. A team. I just wish I'd been more useful. But hey, at least I got to open the way, right? Counts for something.
Oh my god. You were super brave. I mean, you encountered Eternatus with us, and you're gonna live to tell your friends about.
I kind of feel like that's the sort of thing I don't want to talk to anyone about. Except maybe a therapist.
Oh, well, the therapist is gonna be super impressed.
Tucker wriggles a little bit, moving Noibat about.
You were pretty brave, though. They're right about that.
After he says the therapist is gonna be super impressed, Ralph in his head, haha, nailed it. I'm so good at supporting people.
If you weren't there, we wouldn't have been able to do half of the stuff we got to do, Brooke says. No matter how you feel about it, it's a fact that you were integral to the success of our mission. The support and compliments definitely make Noibat feel better. Their smile goes from forced to more than a bit earnest. Thanks. But I kind of understand where Rise and Pangoro are coming from now. It was dangerous, and I couldn't really help you out there. I have to get stronger first.
Hayden expresses they technically have a therapist traveling with them, Hatterene. After Hatterene's experience in the jail, the therapist may need a therapist. Now, they're probably fine now, though, but they were having a rough time, too, remember?
They were. Also, Hatterene has no interest in peddling being a therapist to Noibat. They aren't going to be here. They don't think they're going to be here long enough for that to be viable. Something, if I try to cure your PTSD immediately, that has problems.
Also, if nobody else did, I don't remember, if nobody else did point out to Hatterene to their question, Tucker will kind of express the way, because his nose is pretty good around town, and he knows where their HQ is, even if he's having trouble seeing.
In which case, Hatterene would thank you. And then they would just glide their way around outside the fence, float over the fence into your base.
This is fine.
They are avoiding the main street as much as possible.
Nice.
Do not blame them. Oh no, imagine if she encountered Kingredhydra.
Tell Kingredhydra she has gold.
I'm glad you understand what they're trying to tell you, Brooke says. It's not always easy to understand what those that raise us are thinking. But it's easy to forget that they want you to thrive as much as you do. But if you ever want to sneak off on another mission, I won't tell if you don't, he says with a wink. Thanks, Brooke. I appreciate that. I just hope I can become half as good a pioneer as you all are. I should probably get home. Thanks, everyone. Noibat hops off of the poochy perch that he has and begins flying over to Rise's house. Though I think, given the lack of good food that you've all had for quite some time, the smell of cooked food coming from the Pioneering Club, as well as from down in the Oasis, where some food establishments and or stalls may be, are probably calling to most of you at the moment.
Yeah, Tucker almost thinks to go with Noibat, because he actually wants to speak to Rise, but he also hasn't eaten for over a day, so that will take priority. Also, Rise might be working there anyways.
Yeah. I'll pitch to Rook. So, what do you say? Me and you go debrief to Mr. Pango and then grab our meal.
Time to get lunch, make a report, and then hit the spa.
How many tickets we have again? Oh yeah, I think we were also going to treat Liar to that too. They probably could use that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I believe Florence and I will be lodging in your base tonight, Luxray says. Of course, we understand if you'd rather leave us outside.
No problem at all. Just, the booking fee is 20 giblets, and then after that it's 30 giblets a night.
Of course, we've got plenty of room, Brooke says. Come on, Ralph, they say firmly.
I'm kidding, of course.
Florence just gives a look to Ralph and then to Luxray. Laying on the guilt real thick there, ain't ya? Not at all. It is an appropriate amount of guilt. And also it was a joke. Well, you make it real hard to tell, don't ya? They blink, stare at Florence. What do you mean you couldn't tell? Florence makes a face and just gestures at Luxray, looking at the rest of you.
That's a joke. Okay, that's a gesture, I guess.
No, you two could make a sitcom. Yeah, it would be funny.
Florence waves dismissively. Don't do comedies anymore. Too full of bad acting.
Comedy, fine, I think. There. And comedies for bad acting?
What? No, I'm just saying the market for comedy plays is just full of bad actors.
Full of okay, you can okay.
What did you think I meant?
I thought you meant that it was full of like bad actors, like lesbians who are not good.
Style.
Yes, that's what I said. He looks real confused.
Wait, you mean like good as in they're not funny? Like not good as in they're not funny, or bad as in like they embezzle and stuff and like they're like not honest?
Yes.
Tucker just walks by Ralph, electing to go to the clubhouse. I assume that's where Brooke and Ralph are going to. And just says to Ralph,
Maybe you should try rambling at Pangoro rather than here.
he just kind of says half politely.
Ralph takes a few steps back. He does the thing where he does 2 fingers at his eyes and then 1 finger at him and turns to go into the clubhouse.
Florence is looking real confused. So what Florence means is that, like, theatrical comedy, or the state of it currently, is just full of actors who are bad at the field. Basically, thespian commenting that, oh yeah, this current field of theater is garbage.
Oh my god. Trash talking my comedy.
It's not Ralph's fault that there aren't any good comedians right now.
I shall have to remedy that. I already have. I'm hilarious.
I have to actually ask, because we've had interactions almost every... Liar hasn't really done much this session. How they doing?
Let me do Brooke's line.
Okay.
Make yourselves at home, Brooke says. Liar as well, of course. Let's make a report already.
Yes.
As I assume y'all head towards the pioneering base.
Yeah.
Riley and Lizard, of course, will head to HQ.
Cool, they get everybody settled in.
So I can stop playing them now. They do cute couple things there.
Do we have enough, like, bedding for people to, like, throw some pillows
y'all
on the
have
floor?
space.
Okay.
And given how Tucker furnished their room, there's at least enough plushies and things for there to be pillows.
Tucker just kindly lays out a bunch of plushies, like, you have a bed.
That's so cute. Florence and Luxray, however, are going to go find food elsewhere.
Okay.
Liar doesn't go with them. Liar goes with you all.
Ooh.
Okay.
Liar's just sort of been quiet. For the duration of the trip, they've been notably way happier and healthier looking. Their color hasn't changed, but that might just be their permanent color.
So they've been quiet but happy. So they've just been kind of comfortably vibing.
Yeah,
Not really feeling the
occasionally,
need to get involved. Just
occasionally you all might have caught them humming, but no full-blown singing like back at the cave. And by the time they've come here with you all, they're actually strong enough to just sort of trot around and look at things as they please.
makes sense actually. 'Cause
Nice.
the moment they got out of the mirror cave, they were just happy to be outside. So I'm guessing they're just kind of soaking up the world again, kind of.
Adorable.
When was the last time he was in a settlement, then? If at all.
Excellent question. A perfect question for the Theories channel in Discord.
Ooh. They speak a language. Anywho, I'll let Brooke lead the way upstairs.
When you all enter Pioneering Club HQ, it looks like dinner has started early today. Apparently, there was a shipment of some sort of fresh meat, so Rise is cooking up a storm. It smells delicious. Thankfully, they have Hot Dog to help them. as well as Blaze, who has apparently been commandeered. As I try to remember their voices. Aside from Rise, who I can always remember.
Well, of course.
Also, Beerus, if you have to go to bed, that's okay. We are winding down. We're gonna stop shortly.
Yeah.
Maybe a report can wait until after dinner, Brooke says.
Fair enough. I'm just super excited to see his reaction. Oh man.
Tucker will probably elect to take off his little blindfold. If Brooke tied it right, he could probably slip it on and off on his own. He'll probably take it off while indoors, most likely.
You can probably push it up or down.
Or that, you know.
Thankfully, inside it's not too bright. But it still makes you wince, since it's probably the first time you've taken your blindfold off while it's still technically light out.
Yeah. It's probably getting a little more used to it, but yeah. Still a little like, ouch.
The only thing that would probably temporarily shock Tucker is Rise appears like a void, which is mildly frightening considering their eyes still glow.
No aura?
Yep.
Nonetheless, Tucker has no trouble picking out that it's Rise. The movements alone make it very clear who's the head chef here. So...
Oh, yeah.
But that is
Texture
mildly
load failure.
disconcerting. Texture load failure.
Texture load failure. Yeah, perfect.
Shouldn't Rise be pink checkerboards then? I don't know.
Or texture loaded, but you don't have their shaders shown. Happens a lot on the art set.
Rise is just a flashing red arrow from Gmon just moving around, cooking.
Sliding around. But yes. Rise smiles when they notice you, trotting up in that sauntering way that they do. Well, if it isn't Team Geo, welcome back. Let me guess. Hungry?
Just a little. I slaved over a hot campfire to cook a delicious roasted thing for my teammates, but they rejected my heartfelt cooking, so they're pretty hungry.
Well, not everybody rejected it, unfortunately.
Tucker says flatly.
Rise just
Unfortunately.
nods sympathetically to Ralph. I know how it feels. Some people can be so picky. But don't worry. I can make something for everyone. And given it's your first meal of the day, it's free. Don't think I've forgotten about your rank, no. They use their tail to poke at Tucker's badge.
Tucker giggles a little bit.
I see some new faces. They look between Rida and Liar. Recruiting already?
Yeah, something like that. Rise. Oh, this guy, and I like stand between them. I can grab him.
You were cutting out of there. a bit.
So right here is like the town chef. And he's also like the town mom, sort of, kind of.
Oh, I really don't know about that last one, Ralph.
Oh, totally you are. You're like wise and stuff, but you're also kind of sassy.
Actually,
Yeah, I totally
flustering
had it.
Rise a little bit here.
Yeah. And then I go on to say I totally had a crush on Raj for a while, but I was like, I was a young, dorky, naive Munchlax at the time, and it didn't work out between us. It didn't help that half the town has a crush on Raj here, and yeah.
Tucker also
I
mildly
give two
blushes
thumbs
all
up.
these descriptions. Just like,
Ralph, why don't you find a nice table to sit at? I'll be sure to
Oh,
bring
sure.
you something.
Yeah, my mouth can't talk if it keeps. And I go.
Exactly.
I'm sorry,
Just
he's
sit
been
over
like this all
there
trip.
Just sit over there like a polite Snorlax, and I'll be right with you.
he really does run its mouth this trip.
A pleasure to meet you, Rise.
And you as well. Anyway, write us from the library. They're pretty intent on joining us. The other one is a long story, but they're liar. They don't seem to speak our language, Bert says. Well, it's nice to meet you, Ryder.
Likewise.
You as well, Liar. Liar dips their head in greeting. They seem to have been careful not to speak, for one reason or another. Well, if you have something you want made, I'll do my best. But I'm afraid I can't compare to anything that can be made in the library. Unfortunately, I don't exactly have the facilities.
I am not very particular with my food. Anything that will sustain me will do.
Tucker actually pipes up for a second, and on mention of the food in the library, and he has to just express with a little bit of awe.
They can make tea cakes to let you float. I've never seen anything like it.
Oh? Lucky pup. Unfortunately, I haven't really been, so I haven't had the opportunity to try. Well, don't mind me. I'll go make your food now, alright? Really can't recommend making that trip.
And Tucker,
Oh, I'm sorry. This is how it should be said. Really can't recommend making the trip.
mumbles. Tucker bows his head and says,
Thank you, Rice. The library food's pretty good, but yours is better.
he kind of does that a
No.
little bit of a saying.
Rice puts a paw on Tucker's head, smiling sweetly. Aren't you still such a sweet puppy?
So, does Rise not react to Tucker's eyes at all?
My question was, is the blindfold off now?
Well, yes. So here's, he did tip it up when he went indoors because, well, either way, it's a little unusual whether he's covering his eyes or if his eyes are weird. Tucker is not bringing it up right now, unless directly asked. Also,
Okay.
since Rise is a void, he can't really see Rise's reaction very well.
Well, Rise is going to lean down and whisper into Tucker's ear. I'll talk to you later. Hmm?
Tucker nods actually quite quickly to that.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Don't strain yourself, Pop. I'm not going anywhere. And then they saunter off to go make food. So, Liar doesn't know how to chair.
Oh no.
So, there's a good few minutes while y'all are waiting for Rise to make food that Liar's trying to figure out how the stump chairs around the table that Ralph is sitting at work. They attempt to stand on it at first, but that's awkward. And they try to do, like, the whole kneeling thing on it, and they just go on and off, and on and off, and on and off, trying to figure out how to make it work, and they just settle for standing beside it.
When you said they tried to stand on, I'm picturing, like, did they do the thing the deer can do where, like, they tuck their legs together and stand on, like, a small platform?
Yes. I mean, it's not that small, but they still do it all the same.
I mean, they're sizable enough stumps, but yeah, it feels awkward. Well, when Tucker sits down, perhaps I would offer some idea of how a quadruped can use them, since he kind of sits on his haunches a certain way.
Yeah, but deer can't really do that.
Yeah. Deer have different stability.
So, Liar tries, and they try to use the stump chair as, like, a bit of a table/balancer at first to try and mimic that. Doesn't work. And then eventually they just tuck their legs under them and sit beside the stump chair. And they sort of end up just laying their head on the table.
Okay, I got an important question, actually. Did Rise and Tucker interacted when Tucker had one eye black, right? I can't recall, though.
I think he recovered before then.
Okay, so that actually never occurred. All right. So this is the first time. All right. I'm sorry. Did somebody else talk there? I think so. I heard somebody else.
It was me.
It was you. What'd you say?
I said it recovered before then.
Okay. Yeah, because that was when we were out, way far out at the mountain and stuff. So
Yeah, we like had 3 adventures between that happening and.
There was plenty of time for the eye to recover before we got back to Svantan, so... Fair.
Chair issue rather than skill issue. So I'm curious, what does Ryda think of the Pioneering Club?
Ryda... Well, they don't really have much room to complain in the first place, but they don't seem to mind it. They see that Brooke is content with it, so for them it's enough.
Well, it's not like they haven't seen it through the crystal ball. It's just a bit different to experience it in person.
Mm-hmm.
But after a little while, and it is a little while because it's busy, who would have guessed good ingredients came in? Word spread quickly.
Ooh. Where did they come from, I wonder?
Good question. But Rise does their usual thing of using Shadow Sneak to slide the plates up to the table, gracefully and quickly. Ralph has been given Belgian waffle-sized double bacon berry patty sandwich.
Nice.
Also, to answer your earlier statement, because you brought this up before, and since it came up again, I do believe there is a type of fruit you can mill like flour. I can't remember what it's called, though. I was trying to look it up earlier.
It's not jackfruit, is it? No, jackfruit is made into a jerky.
I'm gonna have to look up. No, yeah, jackfruit. No, jackfruit is special too. But yeah, I think you're right about.
Also been told jackfruit does not taste great.
Oh, maybe the jerky's good. Yeah, jerky is definitely a thing. Sorry, right up aside. You got my brain thinking when you had said milled berries basically earlier. I was like, I need to look that up. Like, I'll figure it out.
Rise knows nothing about Lyre, so they just gave them a plate of berries and 2 muffins.
Can't go wrong.
They don't know if Lyre eats meat, they don't want to risk it. Did Ryda or Brooke want to order anything specific, or are they just letting Rise do the food thing?
Oh, what did Tucker get?
Did Tucker have anything they wanted specific?
No, he's happy to just get whatever Rise gives him.
Brooke will take what is given. Brooke, you get a roasted berry and thinly sliced meat skewer, and you also have what looks to be bread that has been shaped to look like a fish. Well, a Magikarp specifically. It is a very large bread. It smells good. Aw, adorable. When Brooke bites into it, it has, like, a meaty stew inside it.
Ooh.
Tucker is given several thin slices of meat, along with a few thinly sliced berries. They're all arranged very nicely, so it's a very pretty dish. As well as the equivalent of a pig in a blanket. Lechonk in a blanket.
Yes. Tucker definitely wags his tail quite a bit when being served. It's always a treat to see what Rise serves him, so.
And Hydra, you said Ryda was... you said Ryda was just going to take what they're given?
I didn't specify, but yes.
Okay. It's why I asked.
Okay.
In case Ryda had any requests.
I just can't think of anything.
That's okay. Ryda receives a melon slice, as well as a sandwich with sliced meat, cheese, and a berry.
Satisfactory.
Lyre actually looks fairly curiously at everyone's different foods, all the while just sort of absent-mindedly munching on their own food. At some point, Rise shadow sneaks a little salt cube onto the table, and that immediately attracts Lyre's attention. They blep and begin licking it slowly.
Very good.
Adorable.
Alas, it is after 10:30, and I feel like dinner is a good place to stop.
Pretty nice way to end.
Yes. Everybody get 2 XP.
Liar. Holy milting, where are all these foods I've missed while I was away? Oh, Salt Lake's surplus.
Ooh, salt. Lick, 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 lick.
I actually don't know why salt licks are so popular with equids and etc.
I'm not sure why either.
Did you say 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Standard 2 XP for everybody.
All right. Ungulates. Oh, yeah, that's what a deer is.
Great session. Sorry about muting so much. Just having a bad throat day. That's okay, Kyrio.
It's all good.
It's okay. I totally get you. I honestly have been on the verge of a headache all day. I think I gotta do a little more self-care after this session. Fortunately, it hasn't kicked into a full-grown headache, but I can tell it's gonna be one of the ones that makes me feel feverish if it does. So I'm gonna go treat myself so it doesn't happen.
I think they need salt and various minerals to properly function. I would believe that, Zebachi.
No, that makes a lot of sense because, like let's see, like horses like salt licks and they gotta grow the hoofs and stuff. I'm sure the calcium, I assume, or the minerals there that help that. And I'm looking here that apparently with a deer salt lick, yeah, it helps promote bone growth. And I mean, they got to grow the antlers and stuff, so that makes a lot of sense too.
Yep. Not that, fire necessarily needs to grow or regrow antlers, maybe? You don't know. How does that work?
This was a nice session, though.
Yes. And so much music! I don't think we switched through so much music in so little time.
I like to just stay on Ralph's theme, so I have slightly less of a headache listing out all the music in the description.
Well, even so, we don't usually switch up music terribly much during the sessions, but that's mostly my own fault.
There was a lot of switching around, though. Honestly, that's fine. Whether we switch or don't switch, it's totally fine. I just like to set the mood with whatever we're doing. As long as the music is somewhat mood based or mood adjacent, then I'm cool with it. But let's see here. That source for anything, so don't quote me on it. Oh, that's fine. But yeah, I think you're right, because, like... I don't really know what grass is like for salt content. So, yeah, but salty foods are more of a meat eater thing, yeah. Or some specific, like, fruits and such. But yeah. I desire to know how Tucker's pup is doing. We'll probably find out in session 106. Salt is toxic to most vegetation. Yeah, well, there you go then, yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Tries it out.
And, yeah, if y'all go to the spa, you probably will find out, because for those who remember, Puppy was left with Miltank and Crocodile.
Oh, that's right.
I.e. Muriel and Eustace.
That is correct. I wonder how he got on over there, or how they got on over there, because...
I mean, he is correct if you're referring to Crocodile.
I guess they as a group, though, is more appropriate to say.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Crocodile. Stupid puppy, making me look bad. Ooga booga booga.
Oh, man, they're gonna love it when we go over there and go, hey, we're not actually ready to be back yet. See you soon.
But it's gonna do a checkup.
Tired, haunted look.
I
Who knows
dropped
what
one of
kind
my
of puppy
pennies.
you'll
I
come
was...
back to.
What's that?
I said, who knows what kind of puppy you'll come back to.
It might have evolved to Bumpy. Who knows?
The tiger is still somewhere down here. I was messing with my pennies. I was polishing them during the trials, actually. I am...
Polishing your pennies?
Fun factoid. Yeah, fun factoid about Tubby. Tubby collects the souvenir squished pennies from places.
Oh, those! I know what you're talking about. I remember
Yes.
messing around with those a few times.
Yes, I have quite a few of them.
The state of Oregon has a lot of
they're
places for those
fun.
machines.
Yeah, that's what makes them a really fun thing to collect, because wherever you happen to go, there'll probably be one, and they're always like 50 cents. Well, plus the penny.
Yeah.
But, and they're also a lightweight, thematic, fun souvenir, I think.
For those wondering what he's talking about, because I don't really know if it's only an American thing or if it's elsewhere as well. But basically, sometimes in some like special places, like you went to like a theme park or you went to like a carnival or something, they might have like these machines where you put in a penny and you put in additional money to pay for it. You turn the crank and it squishes the penny down and stamps it with a new shape, usually representing the location you're at, and it becomes a souvenir coin basically.
Yeah, they're at theme parks, they're at zoos, they're at aquariums, anywhere that you would go to have a good time.
Yeah, I remember having a few of those way back in the day. I don't have them anymore though. Those are always fun though. Nice little souvenirs. Also makes use of a penny because they're kind of useless otherwise. But with that being said, I noticed that we've already lost a few people here, so... Kyrio said, sorry for me so much, I had a bad throat day. That's totally okay, dude. I hope you had a good session, Kyrio. I hope you had a good session as well. Karserus, who also left, I think. Or, well, left the table, at least. But, yeah. I hope you all had a good night. I'm... Honestly, I'm just happy to have gone through 3 streams and done well on all of them. Because I kind of did back-to-back streams here for this week. Because of having to move Sunday's stream to Monday, that just made me do 3 in a row. So let me just say I'm going to take my Thursday off tomorrow. I want to make good use of just doing not much of anything. Probably, so... Because, yeah, it's a little... It got a little crazy with doing back-to-back streams. And I also haven't been sleeping that well, sadly. But I think I could sleep better tonight, probably. You know, honestly... I was having a bad throat day. It's kind of funny that was brought up because my throat was being weird last night. I think I slept well enough before the stream today, but I'm not sure because like I was having a little trouble breathing, like just like short of breath filling. You know, you ever have those? Like where you just feel like something's getting in the way of you breathing. It's kind of annoying, but hopefully I feel better later. But yeah, I'm gonna go.
Have you saved the? Have you saved the?
I have not. I should. Let me save on. This picture, why not? Because it's very unsettling. Just a second.
It was fun to make.
We are still in May. Okay, so this is May 2. I have a system of how I name these saves. There we go. Okay. All right. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining me tonight. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed. How many viewers did we end up with? It's a little hard to tell now, but I think we hovered around 30. So it was kind of a quieter session, but again, those of you dedicatedly coming by, I appreciate that. You guys, I definitely know my regulars at this point, and even when I have low stream view days, I always see a good number of my regulars, and I really appreciate you guys for coming by every stream. I always do strive to increase my numbers, and I will always try to encourage more people to come by, but do never feel neglected. Those of you that come by at most streams, I definitely appreciate you. Even if my numbers are low, I know that at least some of you guys are watching, and that encourages me. But let's keep trying to get those numbers up. So, you know, I don't say this enough, but if you got friends you want to invite to the stream, furry or non-furry, doesn't matter to me, feel free to invite people, feel free to spread word in their mouth. Any sort of promotion helps. If you want to be like, hey, this guy's cool to watch, you should come by, I'm totally down for that, more the merrier, so. But, that being said, though, thank you for joining me, everyone, both on the table and in the stream. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks for session 106 of Pokerole. And of course, there will be streams in the oh, well, there it goes. Oh my god, what is that one doing? Oh, whoa, that character sheet's, oh no. What's this? Whoa. I think it got possessed. Okay then. I hope you guys enjoyed session 105. Good night, everybody. I'm going to slowly turn away from that terrible thing. Good night.
Good night, all.
Oh, that was great.